Hey brothers and sisters, this is Eric. Thank you for joining me. Now, have you guys ever heard this argument that First Thessalonians 5:9 is actually referring to the wrath of hell and not to the wrath of the Great Tribulation? Now, the reason why they say that this is actually referring to the wrath of hell is because of the word salvation. Now, and when you first read it, it does seem like this is what it says. Alright? So let's read what 1 Thessalonians 5:9 says. It says, "For God has not appointed us to wrath, but to obtain salvation by our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him." Now, while this is undoubtedly speaking of hell, but this is just one of the many wrath that is mentioned in the Bible. There is the wrath of the Lamb in Revelation 6. Then there is the wrath of the devil in Revelation 12, the wrath of God in Revelation 15, and again the wrath of God in Revelation 16. So, since they're all different kinds of wrath, which includes the wrath of hell, so how do we know that 1 Thessalonians 5:9 is not referring to the wrath of hell, but rather to the wrath of the Great Tribulation? Okay? And again, the other verse that proves that we'll be saved from all kinds of wrath would be Romans 5:9. It tells us much more than, being now justified by his blood, we shall be saved from wrath through him. Okay? So the only way that we can pinpoint the exact wrath that is being mentioned as it being the wrath of the Great Tribulation that we shall be saved from as a believer in his finished work is found in 1 Thessalonians 1:10. Now, when we go to 1 Thessalonians 1:10, it tells us, "And to wait for his Son from heaven, whom he raised from the dead, even Jesus, which delivered us from the wrath to come." So there is that word wrath again. But when you look at this verse, it is clearly not referring to the wrath of hell. You know why? Because if this is the wrath of hell, then you don't have to wait for the Son from heaven. You don't have to wait for the Son of God to come from heaven. Because the moment that you breathe your last, your spirit either goes to be with Jesus in heaven, or you go to be with the devil in hell. So why do you need to wait for his Son from heaven? So therefore, while the wrath in 1 Thessalonians 5:9 does talk about the wrath of hell, but in the context of 1 and 2 Thessalonians, it is obviously referring to the wrath of the Great Tribulation. Especially in this verse, it says, "And to wait for his Son from heaven." You don't have to wait for his Son from heaven, to be delivered from wrath. The moment that you die, if you are a believer, you are directly and immediately saved from wrath, because there's no wrath in heaven. So why do you have to wait for his Son from heaven? And 2 Corinthians 5:8 cannot be clearer. It says, "We are confident, I say, and willing rather to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord." So if you're absent from the body, you're immediately with the Lord. You don't have to wait for the Son of heaven to come. Right? So therefore, in the context of the way that the word wrath is used, this is obviously referring to the wrath of the Great Tribulation, which all believers in the finished work of Christ shall be saved from. We shall be delivered from the wrath to come. I hope this clarifies what the wrath in 1 Thessalonians 5:9 and Romans 5:9 is referring to. So while it can include the wrath of hell, 1 Thessalonians 1:10, the verse that I'm showing you now, proves beyond the shadow of any doubt that the wrath mentioned here is the wrath of the Great Tribulation. I hope this helps.